Hi, this is Microdose U, and I'm Dr. Denise. I'm a doctor of psychology, and I got a fantastic question this week. Dr. Denise, what do you mean that the source of the pain is also the source of the healing? That is a perfect question. And it is. Your pain, whether it's physical pain or psychological pain, is absolutely the greatest information you can have. It doesn't feel good, but it is absolutely going to direct you toward your greatest, highest self. And so, what I'm going to talk about is that and how microdosing helps you really have that edge to be able to do that. And I'll give you a couple strategies. So, you will never hear me say it's a blessing in disguise, everything works out, life doesn't throw you anything you can't handle. I don't believe in any of that. I don't ever say that. It frankly makes me a little rattled when I hear other people saying that because it's just not true. It doesn't work that way. And that can often leave people feeling they're judging themselves. They could also be, we have this term called spiritual bypassing, meaning that you say, oh, this is a blessing in disguise. And you go to this positive, oh, this is going to help me. And you might bypass, you might skip over the real healing. So you'll hear it referred to as toxic positivity, everything for reason. Oh, you're so fortunate. It's a blessing in disguise, all those kinds of things I've said. So, what am I really talking about? Why is the source of your pain in some ways the most powerful aspect of your life? No, it is not fun to be in pain, whether it be physical pain. Oh, my back is bothering me. Emotional, psychological pain. We talk about triggers. Something happens and you really feel derailed. You are anxious. You're feeling depressed. Triggers, a broad term, triggers. It's a commonly used word now. And rather than get into like what's a trigger and not, if something is sticking with you. If something, you have a conversation, you have a thought, you see something, you're reminded of something, the gamut, it runs the gamut. If it feels like it's pulling you, sticking to you in some way, I would call that a trigger of some sort. So there could be a big trigger. Somebody had an absolutely catastrophic tragedy in their life. They had a fire, they had a flood, their child very, very sick, and then something reminds them of that. That could potentially be something that really grips a hold of you, a bigger trigger. We kind of, mostly you probably know what that is. It's small triggers that I think are insidious and can be, sometimes we just sort of go along because we don't see it as this big thing. Oh, you're online at the store and someone just looks at you and looks away. Seemingly minor. You might not be aware, as an example, that maybe that person looking at you that way stuck to you and bugged you just a tiny bit. So it's those kinds of small triggers. Whether it be big or little, these things are very important. Like I said, physical pain, emotional pain, this is the source of the pain, is also the source of the healing. Now, if you could say you had a problem with your knee and you just take a couple of acetaminophen or ibuprofen and you're on your way. Okay. Well, that's helpful in the moment. You get relief. You're able to go ahead and do what you want to do. A couple days later, your knee is in pain again. It's important to understand what is the source of that pain. So that's a physical example. And I'll also often use a physical example to really show how it's the same in our life examples, psychologically, emotionally, energetic. So if something makes you anxious and you kind of push it away, which in the moment that can be very helpful. People will distract themselves, perhaps. Not a bad thing. It is a good strategy. It's a good coping strategy to maybe temporarily push something away, push it out of your awareness for a little bit to get through something in the moment, to have relief in that moment. And yet here's the next thing. The knee pain, if left kind of undiagnosed and you just keep treating it with acetaminophen or ibuprofen, anxiety, if you keep pushing it aside, again, I'm talking about an overall pattern, not in the moment. If you keep doing that, you could be missing something that needs to be healed. And I'll even change it. Let me take that back. Not could, you're absolutely missing something that could be healed, right? It's absolutely there, and you're missing an opportunity to heal something. So Psychological emotional struggle, just like the knee pain physical example I gave you, is a sign that there's something out of balance, something that is requiring your attention. So I think in general, you understand, and most people get if you're in physical pain, maybe you want to figure out what that's about. People will more easily most people will go to a doctor and say, oh, my knee hurts, or I have a headache, or I'm having whatever symptom in my body that somehow seems basically overall there's a trend that is easier than having an emotional or psychological moment and then say that there's something there. So yes, if you have a knee pain and you go to the doctor, most likely the doctor will might suggest an x-ray, an MRI, kind of see, depending on what's going on and where you live in the world and your insurance, might, but they're going to try to get to the source, hopefully get to the source of the pain, because maybe there's something in there that could be fixed. Maybe there's something that's a little inflamed, and if you learn some exercises and stretches, you won't have that pain. It's the same thing with psychological, emotional functioning. So when you are having some sort of big or small trigger, anxiety, depression, you feel trauma's coming back, it's like you feel kind of a little or a big kind of grip, it's pulling you. Being able to, at some point, maybe after the next day, say, I wonder what that's about, without judgment, without criticism, more of a curiosity. I'm not saying it's fun to do this. It is absolutely worth it. And it's much less work to look at really the source of that pain, which I said is going to also be the source of the healing. So being able to do this with psychological issues is almost like a psychological MRI. And wouldn't we want that? Wouldn't we want to have a scan psychologically that shows really what's going on rather than pushing it aside? Again, overall, because as we push things aside, eventually it's going to come back and perhaps a little stronger and maybe not when it's convenient. So it's better for you to have the choice. Last time I talked about control, you have more control. If you say, I want to understand what this is, let me take a moment and see if I can understand what's going on. And even if you don't know what is happening in that moment, but you feel it, you can still set that intention. You can say, this is what I want to work on. There must be something there. Even if I don't know what it is, I'm going to work on it. I'm going to see what's there in time. And this is where microdosing really gives you that edge, because microdosing gives us that moment, as you've heard me say, to be able to go, oh, well, maybe there's something to that. Maybe there's something I can heal that will help me upgrade and be my highest best self. Again, physically and psychologically. When I microdose, whether it's psilocybin or LSD, I will always say I'm grateful for the medicine to help me heal psychological and physical issues for my highest, greatest self. I set that intention every day, whether I'm taking a microdose of something or not, because that's just a really good message to our bodies. When you take your medicine, it's very important to give the medicine some direction. So if you notice that you were feeling anxiety about something, depression, feeling of triggered, when you microdose, you want to say the desired outcome. Very important point. So, a very important strategy. You don't want to say, I don't want to feel anxiety. The brain doesn't gets a little confused. It only hears anxiety. It doesn't hear the don't. Like the brain doesn't understand don't or not. So you want to say the desired outcome. I want to feel calm. I want to feel comfortable in my being. I want to feel well, balanced, physically comfortable is a way to also address any physical issues that are going on. You can just say that overall every day, particularly when you take your medicine. So, gift, it's not pleasant to feel horrible and stressed and very upset by something, maybe in an extreme way, or really having a hard moment there. I'm not saying that's fun, that's a pleasant experience. However, taken with real value and weight, there's the power, and that's the gift to be able to say, hey, there's something here. And it will actually, even if you don't know what it is, being able to have that, say, trigger moment, having a difficult emotional moment, and saying to yourself, there's something there, that may actually, it almost always helps take the edge off it. So when you're going through a very, very difficult time, and I go like this because for a lot of people it's anxiety or feeling like really down, beaten down, depression, and you say, maybe there's something here that's unbalanced. I would like to figure out what that is and rewire and heal that so that I can feel better. That's going to be the intention. That's overall going to be the new pathway. It's also very likely it'll help you in that moment. I would write that down. Sometimes, even if you know this, I mean, I say this all the time. I teach it to you guys all the time. I say it all the time in my work. Microdose U, we're always saying this. And yet, if I'm having a moment, because I'm human, I'm going to have those moments, I might forget the most basic concept to say, oh, maybe this is something to look at closer, or this is something I'm curious about. I wonder what's there. What am I upgrading? What is unbalanced? What can I heal? So I do think it's a really good practice to write that down. And if you find yourself, let's hope if, but it's more likely when you find yourself a little or a lot shaken psychologically, emotionally, you can look at that. Hey, I wonder what this is going to reveal. And you might know, and you might not, and you can set your intention to discover. It's like you've seen the door and you open it, you might not know what's in there. And yet you know going in there in your own time, under control, in your own way, is going to be far easier than not going in there. That's a very important point. A lot of us spend so much time kind of, I don't want to deal with that. It's like awful, it's uncomfortable. And it is. It can be very difficult. And timing is important. You get to decide when you're going to actually open those doors and go in there. And yet, I can tell you 100% guarantee that going in there at some point is going to be far better, less scary, and less work than not going in there. Staying stuck takes so much more work from us. And then you're likely doing, we all do these things, compensatory behaviors. I'm going to just go shopping. Oh, I'm going to binge watch something. This is a lot of addictive behavior, which is a symptom, by the way, not the cause. If somebody's overusing a behavior or a substance, like they're drinking a lot, that is the symptom of that door that they didn't go in. So the drinking, for example, it's the symptom, and it's going to lead you. Anyone who's had a problem with addiction, drugs, drinking, and has stopped, they've upgraded and healed, and they're no longer participating in, using drugs and alcohol, they will tell you that that's a symptom, that was the source of really getting to what was underlying and causing that addictive behavior. So, a couple quick strategies. When you are feeling something, in addition to writing something down that you can look at, what is this going to show me? I'm curious. Let me open the door when it's my time. Other things to put on that list, you might want to write them down. Could include, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of here? And how can this help me? It's always nice to add, and how can this help me? Who am I judging is another one. I used to say I wasn't judgmental. We're all judgmental to some extent. And what I mean by that is both definitions of judgment. Judgment as in critical, giving myself a hard time, giving yourself a hard time, as well as like evaluating something, kind of like feedback. Oh, I'm going to watch this film and then I'm going to give like an impression of what I thought in a kind of neutral way. Now, what I thought of it, that's feedback. That's not being harsh and judgmental in the sense of hard on yourself or critical of the filmmakers necessarily. So being able to say, who am I judging? Am I judging myself? Who am I judging outside of me? Who might I think is judging me? And how can I make that better? The next one, what old wound is being stirred? Now, this is a really good one. There's a lot of stuff that the body stores, and it can show up as physical issues, and never ignore physical issues and say that it's just psychological. However, we do know that physical issues will often be a manifestation of unresolved psychological issues. So whether it's a physical issue or a psychological issue, something might be stirred, as in touched upon. So asking yourself, what's being stirred? And how can I upgrade that? Again, you might not know the answer, but setting that intention is going to make that happen. It could also very likely help you in that moment that something's being stirred. Another one, what am I making this mean? We will all oftentimes interpret things, make a conclusion that's like adding insult to injury. Somebody looks at me funny in a store and I go, oh, that was unpleasant. Well, yeah. And then I go into, they're judging me, they're looking down at me. Oh, I know that I'm not a very good person. This doesn't happen to me any longer. It used to decades ago. And I would make it mean something that it wasn't. Somebody doesn't want to be my friend anymore. I may make that mean that there's something wrong with me. Now, there could be things I'm working on, but oftentimes somebody doesn't want to maybe continue a friendship because it's not a good fit. The problem could be just in the match. Nothing wrong with you, nothing wrong with them. And yet you're making it mean that. Okay, one or two more. Hi, so I just wanted to take a quick break here and come in and let you know what we really can do to be helpful for you if you really want to change your life. There's so much that we do here at Microdose U, and one on one coaching, one on one, very personalized assistance to really create the perfect healing path and understanding about the medicine and access to the medicine, knowing how to proceed and how to do the right pathway for you in terms of microdosing psilocybin, LSD. So click on the show notes. You're going to go to Microdose U, that's the word microdose and the letter U.com, and then click on coaching. All of that information is always in the show notes. And I am here for you. I absolutely know what it is like to be sitting with a lot of information and not knowing exactly what to do. Oftentimes people will tell me that just that one intensive coaching session help them really get their path going to your highest self and really get serious about having your life exactly as you want it and having your best year ever. So just go ahead and reach out to me so we can get you all set. One or two more. Is there another way to see this? That sort of follows from that. Is there an upgraded way to see this in some way? Person doesn't want to be my friend. It's not a fit, would be an example of another way to look at it. You're not trying to play games with perceptions. You're trying to add an upgraded additional perspective. Maybe the person doesn't like you. Maybe it's not a good fit. And you're adding, like, it's okay. Might be a little lonely without that person in my life. And yet it's okay. It's better than being with someone who it doesn't fit and struggling through all of that. So another way to see this is I'm really doing what's more aligned with me. It doesn't mean you're not going to feel the stress or the pain or the loss. This is not, again, where you're trying to say, don't think that way. You're not, that's not what it is. You're going to think whatever you're going to think. You might see it in a less than constructive format. This is about adding. What else? How else can I see this so that it's helpful? What does this look like in healed form? Now, this is a really key one, and microdosing and your intentions really this is a big one. Being able to see the desired outcome, say the desired outcome, and for most of us, like 98% of us, when we say something, we're picturing it, even if we don't realize we're picturing. So there's that double message. What is the desired outcome? What do I want to see if this particular part of my life, me, is healed? Even physically, I want to see my knee feeling better. I'm walking, I'm feeling better. That's going to actually, I mean, yes, there might be some physical stretches and different things to do. The microdosing is going to work with those messages. So you take these psychedelics and they're rewiring and they're changing defaults, and you're basically giving the guidance to the medicine, working alongside the medicine by saying, this is what I want to do. And the medicine adjusts to us, we adjust to the medicine. It's a terrific partnership to get to those desired outcomes. So seeing what's a better way this could go. How does it look if it's healed? And then saying that every day in its healed form, again, not the absence of a problem, in the healed, desirable upgrade, that is going to be very powerful in the moment. It also helps you when you're working with your medicine. So say that and see that. It may be helpful to write some of these words down, pause, go back, replay them. It might be helpful to read them, to help you set intentions, to use it as a mantra so that you can see that your greatest pain is the most powerful thing. Not a fun thing. but the most powerful thing, because the pain is directing you to exactly the source of the healing. Check the show notes. Always, as we say, check out Patreon. You can ask me, that's where this question came from, actually. What do you mean by that? And then I can come on here and I could do a video for you. So see you next time.